Hello and welcome to Engine Adventures off-road review of this 2022 GMC Sierra 1500 AT4 Limited with a 3-liter diesel. And let's just jump right into it. I mean, there's not much else to say. It's not much different than the previous one. It is a 2022 model year, but the updated 2022s will be out next spring. So this one is the same as the previous generation. Very nicely equipped, has auto 4-wheel drive, G80 rear locker, of course, high-low range in the transfer case. And let's see how it does at high-speed off-road. Gonna do a 4-wheel drive auto for this high-speed off-road test, and we're locked in. It's not flashing anymore. I'd go ahead. Yeah, you guys aren't gonna be able to see the heads-up display, but let me store some stuff because this was a little bit bouncy coming in. There we go. Let's hit it, see if we can get to 20 here. 15, 17, there we go. 18 miles an hour. And definitely coming off the ground there. So even at 18, we are bottoming out, topping out the suspension. And we'll try and hold 18 because it's still, even when it does, it's not the worst thing in the world. Definitely can't hit our 20 goal and hold it. We can hit 20, but can't keep the 20 through all the rough stuff. So, I mean, there's a difference in this versus some others that I've had. So yes, I did bottom it out and did catch some air a little bit, I'm sure, but it just wasn't extremely hard. Nothing felt loose when it did bottom out. It just, you know, it hit the bump stop for sure and you felt it, but it wasn't the end of the world. There are other vehicles where it's clanging when you do that. This thing didn't do that at all. So actually pretty darn good at the high speed. I wasn't expecting it to bottom out as much as it did. Weren't able to get to that 20 mile an hour goal that we have for off-road vehicles, but we did get 18, and when it did bottom out, it wasn't terrible. It didn't mess up your steering, you know, push you to one side or the other. It remained very well controlled, both, you know, on the ground, off the ground. The steering was very direct the whole time. So high-speed off-roading, you have really good control but very limited wheel travel, which ultimately causes the suspension to bottom out and limits your speed. So if you can upgrade to a mid-travel kit or something, if you're going to be doing high-speed off-road, you don't want this vehicle, you want a Raptor, a TRX, or maybe a TRD Pro. If you're going straight from the factory, if you're doing aftermarket, a mid-range kit on this should be a big difference and hopefully still maintain the good characteristics as far as handling goes. So there's kind of two aspects there, suspension travel and the handling, and this has the handling down, just not the suspension travel. I know I've shown you guys this before, but I'm in 4-wheel drive low and traction control, stability control are automatically off. But when I reverse, I'm just gonna reverse up to 2000 RPM. My feet aren't on the pedals and it just kind of holds it there. And still no feet on the pedals. It's kind of just coming down a little bit now, but it's like a off-road cruise control that just does its own thing. And slowly comes back down, and it does it going forward too. So there, my foot's on the brake, do it forward. This is the normal speed, and if I push on the gas, 2000 RPM. Oh, it actually shifted this time. Let me lock it into first gear. 2000 RPM, feet are off the pedals. It just kind of hangs out there, it just keeps going. So interesting feature. I don't know if it's a feature or not, but it's what it does. And if you get into any kind of a hill or whatever, I'll show you right now. Even turning was enough to start slowing it down, but I'm gonna hit the front end. Anyway, it won't hold that 2,000 RPM, so it'll drop off as you get pressure and then eventually kind of shut off. So, two main takeaways from this clip. One, Chevy's brake system to transfer power side to side is pretty weak. Two, the G80 is excellent. You see immediately when it locks, and it stays locked as long as you keep pressure on it, and it makes the climb real easy. Honestly, I couldn't tell a difference in off-road mode versus normal mode. Maybe that comes into play when you're in mud, sand, four-wheel drive, snow. I don't know where it comes into play, but it's probably somewhere. I'm sure there's some difference. I just didn't notice it. And this angle does give a much better view of the G80 locking up. In four-wheel drive auto, it quickly transfers power to the front axle, and I think it was able to make it no problem without locking the G80 on the rear. There wasn't enough wheel speed differential on the rear axle for it to actually lock, so that was all just the four-wheel drive auto. As expected, four-wheel drive low automatically disables traction control and stability control. And here I have it locked into first gear, so it won't even shift into second. Not that I'm going to go fast enough for it to anyway. And I'm trying to use as little throttle as possible. And you can see basically the length of the truck, the decent articulation on the rear makes it so you don't really even spin the wheels at all on this. Having four-wheel drive low with all those other systems off makes it so much easier to control the vehicle and make it go the speed I want it to. All right, we are in four-wheel drive auto right here and off-road mode. I don't know if you'll be able to see that on the screen, but off-road mode right there. Locked down into first gear, L1. Forgot I have the park. Oh, is it gonna release parking brake? There we go. And anyway, locked into first gear. I'm just gonna try and crawl up this, and we're just doing the hard. So we're not gonna try and do easy till we get to the hard. We're just going straight up the hard line. This truck's longer, so as I hit these holes, there we go. Finally got two wheels, and I don't know if you can see. Nope, you can't. But the head-up display. Let me switch here. There you go. If you can see here, sometimes those will switch to yellow and say low traction. I get that same view on the head-up display. So it shows which wheel's slipping, front right, rear left. Now I have 3 slipping. That was probably the G80 engaging. There's the G80 engaging for sure. Once the G80 engages, if you keep on the throttle, then it will stay locked. So just keep pressure on it, otherwise it will come unlocked. And I am gonna probably scrape my belly here. Nope, good deal. Thought for sure I was gonna scrape right there. From this angle, the only thing I really want you to watch is when the G80 locks up, you can see the rear end shimmy over to the side a little bit, but that is how you know when the G80 locked, and it does it a couple of times here in these next following clips. Let's go ahead and try that in four-wheel drive low. And we're gonna do that by going down the hill. Neutral, four-wheel drive low. Sometimes you gotta move a little bit. There we go. Felt it go in. Okay, now we're in first gear still, going down the hill, four-wheel drive low. I do have the cameras on over here on the side so I can see the corners of the vehicle much better, but I'm still on the brake, of course. I'm a little bit nervous just to let this thing go until we get past the worst spot, which is right here. There it is. And we'll go a slightly smoother route. Foot's completely off the brake. Sitting at about 5 miles an hour. I'll put the crawl ratio up on the screen, but 5 miles an hour is not too bad. Not the best we've seen, and especially with a diesel, with that really high compression ratio, you get good engine braking. So I kind of almost expect a little bit more, but it also seemed to be holding right around that 2,000 RPM, which might just be a setting that Chevy has in these trucks. All right, someone coming down, but that's fine. We're going the other way. So we're still in off-road mode. We're in four-wheel drive low, and again, we'll just climb up this slow as can be. Well, we're going 3 miles an hour, but just do a quick little climb here in 4 low. I did kick up a rock and dug those holes a little bit deeper, and I can hear the ABS switching on and off. The G80 is not locked right now. It showed the traction there. I'm not sure if the G80 locked or not. There we go. We should have a couple wheels in the air. G80 is not locked. There it goes. G80 locked, and up we go.
Here again, we'll see the G80 lock up twice at 2 different points on the hill, and you'll notice it because the rear of the truck slides sideways.
I was a little late starting this clip, but this is the downhill assist taking care of it for me automatically. And I'm in 4-wheel drive low. It's keeping it at 3 to 4 miles an hour, just below what the engine does on its own. I don't know, that's okay. I would prefer, you know, around 1 mile an hour. And I think you could probably adjust it. So you use the cruise control buttons or the dial right here, right there on the steering wheel to adjust it higher and lower for your speed in the downhill assist. And I mean, it works pretty well. I could hear the ABS running and all that stuff to slow it down as it was going down the hill, and it would show again on this screen, which you can barely see which wheels are slipping.
The breakover angle is actually pretty good, and you can see the lowest point there is just forward of the exact center of the truck, and so it's able to clear it. I think if the lowest point were exactly in the center, it would have scraped. First, we have the red tow hooks, of course, and then tons of skid plates. So there's one over the front, over the radiator, over the engine, there over the transmission and transfer case. Everything for the most part is tucked up and out of the way. You can see the diesel exhaust fluid tank on the left and the diesel fuel tank on the right, and then the spare tire here on the rear. But really, overall, everything is tucked up nicely and pretty well protected with all those skid plates.
Thank you for watching Engine Adventures off-road review of the 2022 GMC Sierra 1500 AT4 Limited. Pretty capable vehicle off-road. Lacks a little bit in the high speed for being an off-roader, but really well controlled when it reaches its limits. Maintains good handling.
Does really well. Of course, the articulation test, this thing's so big it's hard to even lift a wheel, but once you get into the steep off-road or steep hill climb, you can see it slipping a bit. You see the G80 engage carry its way up the hill. Obviously 4 low, much better gearing for going both up and down. The diesel responsive. It does hold on to boost a little bit, of course. You know, on the throttle, you give it quite a bit and you let off, and it still carries a little bit of momentum. Just the nature of a turbo and current emission standards. So anyway, it does really well off-road. It's a great overall all-arounder. Can tow this particular one 8,800 pounds, and the engine has plenty of capability to do that. 10-speed transmission does great as well. If you liked what you saw, be sure to hit subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications, and give me a thumbs up. And if you didn't like it, give me a thumbs down. Be sure to comment down below and let me know why. Thank you, and have a great day.